I thought I had found my dream job when I walked into that bright downtown office for my first day as marketing coordinator. The glass walls, the modern furniture, the energy buzzing through the air made me believe I was finally where I belonged. My new boss, Sarah, greeted me with the warmest smile and promised mentorship that would launch my career to new heights. At 26, I felt like I was stepping into the future I had always imagined for myself. Little did I know that some promises are designed to break your heart in the most devastating ways possible. Before we dive into what happened next, I would love to know where you are watching from today. Please hit that like button if you have ever felt excited about a new beginning, and do not forget to subscribe, because trust me, you will want to hear how this story unfolds. Now let me take you back to that first week when everything seemed perfect. The Hartwell Marketing Group occupied the 15th floor of a sleek building that overlooked the bustling streets of downtown Chicago. When I stepped out of that elevator on my first Monday morning, wearing my carefully chosen navy blazer and clutching my new leather portfolio, I felt like I was walking into a movie scene. The receptionist, Amanda, directed me toward the corner office, where Sarah Martinez waited. Sarah was everything I hoped a mentor would be. At 38, she had built her reputation as one of the most innovative marketing directors in the city. Her dark hair was pulled back in a sophisticated bun, and she wore a charcoal suit that spoke of both success and approachability. When she shook my hand, her grip was firm and confident. "Lydia, welcome to the team," she said, her voice warm with genuine enthusiasm. "I have been looking forward to working with you ever since I read your portfolio. Your campaign ideas are exactly what we need to bring fresh perspective to our client base." She led me on a tour of the office, introducing me to the team of 12 marketing professionals who would become my colleagues. Each person seemed genuinely excited to meet me, sharing quick stories about projects they were working on and asking about my background. The creative director, Marcus, even mentioned they had been waiting for someone with my specific skill set to join their campaigns division. My workspace was a modern cubicle near the window with a view that stretched across the city skyline. Sarah had already arranged for me to have the latest computer equipment and access to the premium design software I would need. She handed me a folder containing my first week's schedule, which included training sessions, client briefings, and one-on-one meetings with department heads. "I want you to take your time settling in," Sarah explained as we sat in her office that afternoon. "But I also want you to know that I see real potential in you. Within 6 months, I am planning to recommend you for the senior coordinator position that will be opening up. That comes with a significant salary increase and the opportunity to lead your own project teams." I felt my heart racing with excitement. This was exactly the kind of career trajectory I had dreamed about during my college years, studying marketing and communications. Sarah continued talking about the company's growth plans and how she wanted to build a team of innovative thinkers who could take on bigger clients and more challenging campaigns. During my first week, I threw myself into learning everything about the company's processes and current client relationships. I stayed late each evening, reviewing case studies and familiarizing myself with the software systems. Sarah would often stop by my desk around 7 p.m., just as the office was emptying out, to check on my progress. "I love seeing this kind of dedication," she told me on Thursday evening. "It reminds me of myself when I first started here 8 years ago. I worked those same long hours because I knew that success requires sacrifice in the beginning." By Friday, I had completed all of my initial training modules and was ready to start contributing to actual client work. Sarah assigned me to assist with a campaign for a local restaurant chain that was planning to expand statewide. My job would be to research target demographics and develop creative concepts for their advertising materials. I spent the weekend researching market trends and consumer behavior patterns, excited to impress Sarah with thorough preparation. When Monday came around, I arrived at the office 30 minutes early, armed with a detailed presentation about millennial dining preferences and social media engagement strategies. Sarah reviewed my work that afternoon and seemed genuinely impressed. She made several positive comments about my research methodology and creative thinking. Then she surprised me with an announcement that made my week even better. "I want you to present these findings to the client next Friday," she said. "It will be good experience for you to interact directly with our customers, and I think they will appreciate hearing fresh ideas from our newest team member." The restaurant chain presentation went better than I could have imagined. The client's two brothers, who owned 7 locations across Illinois, were enthusiastic about my demographic research and social media strategy recommendations. They specifically asked Sarah if I would be available to work on their expansion campaign as a primary contributor rather than just an assistant. I could see the pride in Sarah's eyes as she nodded and confirmed that I would indeed be playing a significant role in their project. After the clients left, she pulled me aside in the conference room. "Lydia, that was exceptional work," she said. "I have been doing this for over a decade, and I rarely see someone with your natural ability to connect research insights with creative execution. I want to fast-track your development here." Over the next several weeks, Sarah began including me in higher-level strategic meetings and introducing me to the company's most important clients. I worked on campaigns for a major healthcare provider, a technology startup seeking venture capital, and a non-profit organization planning a statewide awareness campaign. Each project seemed to showcase different aspects of my skills, and I found myself becoming more confident in presenting ideas and leading brainstorming sessions. My colleagues began seeking my input on their own projects, and I started to feel like a valued member of the team, rather than just the newest hire. During this period, Sarah and I developed what felt like a genuine friendship beyond our professional relationship. We would often grab coffee together in the morning and discuss industry trends or upcoming projects. She shared stories about her own career journey, including the challenges she had faced as a woman building credibility in a competitive field. "The key is to always be prepared to seize opportunities when they present themselves," she told me during one of our coffee conversations. "But you also have to be strategic about protecting your interests and making sure you get credit for your contributions." I appreciated these insights and felt grateful to have found a mentor who was willing to share such practical wisdom. Sarah also began inviting me to industry networking events and introducing me to potential clients and collaborators. At one particular mixer hosted by the Chicago Marketing Association, she made a point of highlighting my recent successes to several prominent business leaders. "This is Lydia, our rising star," she would say. "She has been with us just 3 months and is already driving results that our senior staff would be proud of." These introductions led to several LinkedIn connections and informal conversations about future opportunities. I felt like I was building a professional network that would benefit my career for years to come. However, around the beginning of my 4th month at Hartwell, I started noticing subtle changes in Sarah's behavior toward me. Our morning coffee conversations became less frequent, and she seemed more businesslike during our project discussions. When I asked if everything was okay, she assured me that she was simply dealing with some upper management pressure and increased client demands. I did not think much of it at the time, assuming that these kinds of fluctuations were normal in any workplace. I continued focusing on my projects and maintaining the high quality of work that had earned me recognition during my first few months. The first real sign that something was wrong came during a staff meeting in early November. Sarah was presenting quarterly results to the entire marketing department, highlighting successful campaigns and recognizing team members for their contributions. She spent considerable time discussing the restaurant chain expansion project, describing it as one of the department's most successful initiatives of the year. What shocked me was how she presented the work. According to Sarah's presentation, she had personally conducted the demographic research, developed the social media strategy, and led the client presentations that secured the expanded contract. My name was mentioned only briefly as someone who had provided research assistance during the preliminary stages. I felt my stomach drop as I listened to her take credit for work that I had done independently and presented to the clients myself. Several of my colleagues glanced in my direction with confused expressions, clearly remembering my central role in the project. But Sarah continued her presentation without acknowledging the discrepancy. After the meeting, I approached her office, hoping there had been some kind of misunderstanding or oversight. When I knocked on her door, she looked up from her computer with an expression that seemed slightly irritated by the interruption. "Sarah, I wanted to ask you about the quarterly presentation," I began carefully. "I think there might have been some confusion about the restaurant chain project. You mentioned that you had done the demographic research and strategy development, but I believe those were the tasks I worked on." Her response was swift and cold. "Lydia, I think you might be misremembering the division of responsibilities on that project. You certainly contributed to the research process, but the strategic direction and client relationship management were my areas of focus. As the department director, I am ultimately responsible for all deliverables that go to clients. I left her office feeling confused and upset, but I tried to convince myself that maybe I had misunderstood the scope of my own contributions. Perhaps Sarah had done more background work that I was not aware of, or maybe the presentation format simply required her to speak broadly about department achievements. Over the next few weeks, I noticed this pattern repeating itself in smaller ways. Ideas I had proposed during brainstorming sessions would reappear in Sarah's emails to clients without any attribution to me. Creative concepts I had developed would be presented to other departments as examples of Sarah's innovative thinking. The situation became more serious when I learned that Sarah had submitted an application for a prestigious industry award, claiming credit for the restaurant chain campaign strategy. The award submission included detailed descriptions of the demographic research and social media recommendations that I had developed and presented. Her application portrayed these accomplishments as evidence of her own strategic expertise and creative problem-solving abilities. I realized I needed to document my contributions more carefully, so I began keeping detailed records of my work and saving copies of all emails and project files. I also started following up on verbal conversations with email summaries, creating a paper trail that would demonstrate my involvement in various projects. My relationship with Sarah continued to deteriorate as I became more cautious about sharing ideas and more insistent about clarifying project responsibilities. She seemed to interpret my documentation efforts as a lack of trust, which led to increasingly tense interactions during our meetings. The breaking point came in early December when I discovered that Sarah had been actively undermining my career advancement behind my back. I learned about this through an unexpected conversation with Marcus, the creative director, who pulled me aside after a department meeting. "Lydia, I need to tell you something that I think you should know," he said, glancing around to make sure we could not be overheard. "Last week I recommended you for the senior coordinator position that is opening up in January. When I spoke to Sarah about supporting your promotion, she told me that she had serious concerns about your work quality and team collaboration skills. I felt like I had been hit by a truck." "What kind of concerns?" I managed to ask. Marcus looked uncomfortable, but continued. "She said that you had been taking credit for work that was primarily hers, and that you had shown a pattern of misrepresenting your contributions to projects. She also mentioned that she was worried about your ability to handle increased responsibilities." This conversation revealed that Sarah had been systematically sabotaging my reputation with other department heads while maintaining a friendly facade in our direct interactions. I realized that her behavior over the past several weeks had been a calculated effort to position herself as the source of my recent successes, while portraying me as someone who was overeager for recognition. I decided that I needed to take action to protect my career and my reputation. That evening, I went through all of my saved emails, project files, and documentation to build a comprehensive record of my actual contributions to various campaigns. I also reached out to the restaurant chain clients, directly requesting copies of the presentation materials and meeting notes that would demonstrate my role in their project. When I reviewed this evidence, the pattern of Sarah's behavior became crystal clear. She had been taking credit for my work systematically while positioning herself to benefit from my successes. The most damaging part was her apparent plan to block my career advancement while using my achievements to enhance her own professional reputation. I spent the weekend preparing a detailed report that documented Sarah's misconduct, including specific examples of work she had claimed as her own and evidence of her efforts to undermine my advancement opportunities. I also prepared copies of all supporting documentation, including emails, project files, and client communications that would substantiate my claims. On Monday morning, I requested a meeting with David Chen, the regional manager who oversaw Sarah's department. David was known for being fair and thorough in his approach to workplace issues, and I felt confident that he would investigate my concerns appropriately. During our meeting, I presented my documentation clearly and professionally, focusing on specific examples rather than emotional reactions to Sarah's behavior. David listened carefully and asked detailed questions about the timeline of events and the evidence I had gathered. "These are serious allegations, Lydia," he said after reviewing my materials. "I am going to need some time to investigate this thoroughly and speak with other people who were involved in these projects. In the meantime, I want you to continue with your regular work responsibilities, and I would prefer that you not discuss this situation with other team members." The investigation took nearly 3 weeks, during which I maintained my professionalism, despite the awkward tension with Sarah. David interviewed several colleagues who had worked on the projects in question, reviewed email communications and project files, and even contacted the restaurant chain clients to verify the details of my involvement in their campaign. When David finally called me back to his office in early January, his expression was serious but reassuring. He had concluded that my allegations were substantiated and that Sarah had indeed engaged in inappropriate conduct that violated company policies regarding professional integrity and employee development. "I want you to know that we take these matters very seriously," David told me. "Based on my investigation, I have determined that Sarah misrepresented your contributions to multiple projects and actively interfered with your professional advancement. This behavior is completely unacceptable and will have consequences." He explained that Sarah would be removed from her position as department director and transferred to a different division where she would work as an individual contributor without supervisory responsibilities. Additionally, the company would be implementing new policies to ensure better documentation and attribution of employee contributions to prevent similar situations in the future. David also informed me that I would be receiving the senior coordinator promotion that had been discussed earlier, along with a salary adjustment that reflected my actual contributions to the department's recent successes. He arranged for me to work directly with the regional marketing team while they searched for a new department director. The most satisfying part of this resolution was when David asked me to present the restaurant chain case study at the company's quarterly business review meeting. This time, I was able to accurately describe my role in developing the research methodology, creating the strategic recommendations, and building the client relationship that led to their expanded contract. Several senior executives approached me after the presentation to discuss future projects and potential leadership opportunities. The CEO specifically mentioned that my work demonstrated exactly the kind of innovative thinking and client focus that the company wanted to cultivate across all departments. Sarah's last day in the department was awkward but brief. She cleaned out her office without making eye contact with me or most of our colleagues. I heard through the office grapevine that her transfer was not voluntary and that her new position represented a significant step backward in her career trajectory. Looking back on this experience, I realized that Sarah's behavior had taught me valuable lessons about workplace dynamics and the importance of advocating for myself professionally. I learned to document my contributions, carefully build relationships across different levels of the organization, and recognize warning signs of colleagues who might not have my best interests at heart. The ordeal also showed me that standing up for myself, even when it felt uncomfortable and risky, was essential for protecting my career and my integrity. If I had remained silent about Sarah's misconduct, she would have continued taking credit for my work while blocking my advancement opportunities. 6 months later, I was promoted again to marketing team leader, and I now oversee the same projects that Sarah had tried to claim as her own achievements. The restaurant chain expansion campaign that started this whole conflict has become a model for our client engagement approach, and it continues to generate new business opportunities for the company. I have also made it a priority to mentor newer employees and ensure that they receive appropriate recognition for their contributions. Having experienced what it feels like to have someone steal your work and undermine your career, I am committed to creating a supportive environment where everyone's achievements are acknowledged and celebrated. The most important lesson I learned is that your professional integrity and your willingness to stand up for yourself are more valuable than any individual job or relationship. Sometimes protecting your career requires taking risks and having difficult conversations, but the alternative is allowing others to control your future and diminish your potential. Has anyone else experienced a situation where a mentor or supervisor took credit for your work? How did you handle it, and what advice would you give to someone facing similar challenges? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like and share it with anyone who might be dealing with workplace dynamics or career challenges. Do not forget to subscribe for more stories about standing up for yourself and finding strength in difficult situations. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope it encourages you to advocate for yourself and protect your professional integrity, no matter what challenges you might be facing. Remember that your work and your achievements belong to you, and you have every right to ensure they are recognized appropriately.